Most e-commerce brands make the same mistake. They set and forget email. But email is the tone, the feel, the voice of every brand, which is why most e-commerce brands are scared to touch it. And that's exactly what was happening with our client, Good Neighbor, a premium Toronto fashion retailer that was established in 2014. The stores look beautiful, but online, unupdated automations, clunky segmentation, and campaigns that were simply unintentional. That left millions on the table, but more importantly, didn't shift the retail experience online. In this video, I'll show you what we found when Shopify connected marketing media to Good Neighbor, and why set and forget email is probably costing your brand more than you think. So let's start with the problem and what was actually going wrong inside their account. Now, to understand how bad this really was, you need to know what Good Neighbor represents. Started in 2014 by a young Aziz Alam, a Toronto fashion legend, his goal was to create shopping experiences that were extremely intentional. Good Neighbor is one of Toronto's most recognizable multi-brand retailers. Walking into their store feels curated, warm, and premium, and the kind of experience that makes you want to stay. Online though, it was a different story. The emails felt generic, confusing, and clunky. That in-store magic just wasn't something that was carried over. Something was missing. Inclusion and exclusion logic was wrong, which meant customers were getting discount codes even after they purchased. The welcome series was cut short, which meant customers didn't really feel like they resonated with the brand, and some of the key automations were missing. This meant a brand that looked top tier offline wasn't maximizing the same potential online. To make it worse, competition in fashion is brutal, and despite having strong retail sales, e-commerce only made 10% of their total business. And here's where most brands go wrong. They start prioritizing new campaigns instead of identifying problems and working on them first. And that's why when we work with you, we identify the exact problems we need to solve first in a really extensive audit. That helps us form a plan of action. And if your brand is struggling, the audit we did for Good Neighbor might help you too. Before we could do anything, we needed to identify exactly where revenue was being lost. After a week of extensive research, our team sat down with theirs and presented a deep dive audit. Instead of showing fancy mock-ups or ideas, our conversation was about the facts, what was leaving money on the table, and how we can fix their exact problems to make email like their in-store experience. It starts with the email capture problem. Their pop-up was converting at a 1.2%. We believe we could 3 to 4x that and get the leads who were slipping through uncaptured. They were targeting customers who were ready to buy, but we changed the pop-up behavior to capture customers who were cold, in turn generating them more revenue from the traffic who wasn't going to subscribe. Next, the critical flows were missing. The abandoned checkout wasn't firing at all. The site abandonment was absent, which meant we weren't capturing all traffic who was coming to the site and not taking any further actions. The browse abandon was missing, which meant we weren't recapturing customers who were taking a look at some of the amazing products and targeting them according to their interests. Next, the welcome flow felt misaligned. It was too short. It didn't include things like the founder's story, the reviews, and why people should buy from Good Neighbor instead of buying from their competitors. It focused too much on the products and the nitty-gritty that customers don't really care about. And so we were able to create a sense of community simply by making this automation longer and talking a lot more about why Good Neighbor and not what. The next thing we found is that the campaign strategy was broken. We were blasting the entire list with the same message. Instead, we recommended setting up 30, 60, 90-day engaged segments, as well as segments to understand what customers are actually interested in, as well as what makes them shop from Good Neighbor. With no added exclusions, they were risking removing valuable customers from the list simply by sending untargeted messages. And so we recommended creating strong exclusion segments that would help customers receive only the emails that they want to receive. This leads me to my next point. A lot of the small technical issues actually resulted in big problems. Things like generic discount codes like Welcome 10, deliverability scores that were fair in Postmaster, and image-heavy templates that left inbox placement to be poor. At Good Neighbor, their mission is to keep retention strong. They value their customers more than anyone else in Toronto. However, in retention, this was ignored. Repeat buyers and new customers weren't separated, and loyal customers weren't recognized. They had no post-purchase journeys thanking customers for their purchase, and no reorder logic, which meant customers who had purchased 4 or 5 times were receiving the same emails as customers who purchased once. Every customer was treated like a stranger, and that's something we needed to fix. After identifying every single one of these issues, we realized even solving for 2 to 3 of these problems would lead to a lot more revenue and a lot happier customers without spending a single ad dollar. So once we mapped out the gaps, the question became, how do we rebuild their email system to feel like they're in store? After Good Neighbor gave us the green light, my team and I built an entire customer lifecycle journey first. We started with the browse abandonment, making sure that customers felt like they were actually getting someone to help them instead of push them to buy. Things like tailored to you recommendations and timely reminders to make sure you get your product before it's sold out. Abandoned checkout, something that was missing because we didn't want to be too spammy for customers. However, what we were able to do is be much more intentional and let them know how much availability was left and that they should buy before they miss out on their product. Most importantly, the welcome series went from being about shop now to incentives, reviews and social proof, the founder story, community depth, benefits and lifestyle, and so much more about why Good Neighbor. Our teams were in constant communication to ensure that the design briefs, the copy, and the strategy completely aligned with what they wanted. Every design and line of copy was built to mirror the in-store experience. That meant every block in an email had its own job. Within just a few months, it was clear the rebuild worked. Now, the online experience feels like the store. Emails finally reflect the warm, curated, and premium vibe Good Neighbor intends to provide their customers. The flows are firing to the right customers at the right times and ensuring people are not getting random discounts at random times. The campaigns are going out deliberately to the right audiences with the right messages. Not only did we give customers the experience they deserve, but most importantly, we multiplied revenue by 2 to 3x. So that's how we turned Good Neighbor's emails from liability to asset, from clunky to beautiful. Now their email system feels like their store and runs like clockwork. And if you're a part of a brand, chances are you're dealing with similar problems. Things like low pop-up conversion rate, improper flows, campaigns that simply don't resonate with your audience. And that's why I'm inviting you to book a free email marketing optimization call with my team, where we'll audit your account similar to how we did for Good Neighbor, map every gap, show you how you can improve, and lay out a system that can add incremental revenue to your business without spending $1 more on ads. Click the link below, grab your slot. Even if you don't have a retail store, let's figure out how your online e-commerce brand can build an amazing experience for your customers.